anything wrong.
Right.
Which is quite interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is this certificate, CLEUD? CLEUD, do you know what I mean? Certificate of License...
Certificate of Certificate of Lawful Use.
Exemption? Yeah, you know.
It's a Certificate of Lawful Use.
CLEUD. CLEUD. Disclaimer. D must be disclaimer. All I know is
Certificate of Lawful Use.
It's not like adverse possession, but it's saying it's sort of saying the same sort of thing, that you've been allowed.
It's something developed. The last thing is development. I can't think what the E is. It's a certificate of lawful use or
exclusion. Let's see if I wrote it down.
Because basically, if you've been on the mooring for 4 years, more than, you can get a certificate of lawful use.
Certificate of lawful existing use or development. So if you've been on a mooring, can you say that again?
Right. If you've been on a mooring for more than 4 years, which you've been using residentially, the owner of the land, mooring, whatever, can apply for a certificate of lawful use.
Oh, has to be the owner.
Yeah, has to be the owner. The boater, you've got no rights as the boater. None whatsoever. It has to be the owner. So, for example, Penton Hook Marina, MLD, could go to the planners and say, we want to get a certificate of lawful use because these moorings have been used for more than 4 years. And it's difficult. It isn't an absolute given that they will get permission, but it is difficult for the planners to turn it down. They can't just say, no, can't do it because we don't like the idea. They've got to have a good reason for it.
Yeah.
Not to be granted.
But that would be mainly for the benefit of the marina to
keep
taking the money.
Yeah. So this situation in London, you're more the canals, are you, or everywhere? And it's everywhere, isn't it?
It's different on the canals in the sense that the
Canal and River Trust or Environment Agency, whoever, is that right?
On the canals, you've got Canal and River Trust. Because the canals are wholly artificial and were built by commercial companies, they always own the towpath side. That is in their ownership. And then you can moor anywhere for 14 days and then move on. But if you stay for more than 14 days, you are there illegally because they own it. And it's quite clear they own it. On the river, it's very different because the ownership isn't very clear in lots of places. And would you want to claim ownership if then you've got responsibility for maintaining the bank? Probably not.
Well, I don't know. Actually, I think it's worth it.
Well, it depends. Yeah, it depends a little bit how much. And it depends how much of the bank you get and all of that. But as a local authority, they're very ambivalent about whether or not they want to actually own up to owning it.
I think they're changing now. I think that's the thing. Is that
part of
look at that. Sorry, is that sort of massive snow going on? It is.
Yeah.
Well, it's not.
That's amazing. Yeah, well, this looks like it might.
It's choppy out there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's because the wind's blowing that way, and we're in the weir stream, and the water's rushing down that way. So you've got.
Right, so it wouldn't be like this
in a proper boat. You'd call it wind against tide.
Okay.
So which chops it up. Sorry.
This is a proper boat.
The thing is that I'm a deep water. I claim I'm a deep water. I haven't been on a sailing boat for 15 years, but I used to sail a lot.
Did you go across the Atlantic? Did you do some of that horrible thing?
No, not that excited. Most exciting I've done to cross the channel. But
that's good enough.
And you said you were in the Swale. My oldest, bestest friend died when we were 52. Had a Beneteau, 30-foot Beneteau, and his deep water mooring was in the Swale. So we used to. Is
a Beneteau one of those ones with the beautiful sort of maroon sails? Sorry, I'm not good on the terminology.
Probably, actually some Beneteaus might, but no, the Beneteau is just a maker, but they're basically racing boats.
Okay.
Well, they like to think they're racing boats. But anyway, yes.
So the difference between the Environment Agency, the Canal and River Trust, and the PLA is purely location, and canals is canal, and then any river outside tidal Thames is Environment Agency.
Most, not all.
Okay.
Not all. The IWA own one.
What's that stand for?
Inland Waterways Association.
Is that in London or elsewhere?
IWA is the IWA is national. The IWA was the organisation that fought for the canals to be saved against British Waterways, going way back, and they fought and fought and fought, and they've been responsible for restorations and all sorts. And they own the Chelmer and Blackwater River, I think. It's in Essex anyway.
Right, okay. So
and they really had aspiration. When BW were first talking about becoming a charity, IWA thought that they were going to be it. They thought that they were going to be the new National Rivers Authority. But it didn't happen like that. And they'd still like that to happen. But
right. So the business that you set up, it's the
Thames Visitor Mooring.
Okay. Yeah.
Basically, what happened, I came down here. I've been on the canal system and came down onto the Thames.
Have you always been a continual cruiser? I don't imagine,
initially I was in a marina because it was just easier, but philosophically I was a continuous cruiser. Hated. I mean, what do you want to be in a wet car park for? I mean, it's just horrible. But legally, no, I was in a marina, but illegally, not. I was in a marina, but I was living on my boat, and the licence said you shouldn't. All of that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
what everybody does is, from what I gather,
because you haven't got much option.
Yeah.
I came onto the Thames, and I took over as the non-tidal Thames rep for the RPI. I found myself in the user group meetings and got increasingly pissed off with hearing people moaning about moorings being abused, because it was Liverpool boaters. It's the Liverpool's that do it. They abuse the moorings. They won't ever go, and they never will go, and And I kept saying to the EA, but if you managed your moorings, you wouldn't have the problem. And they kept saying, well, we haven't got the resources. And this happened 2 or 3 times, and I was having a conversation with Sarah, and she said, put your money where your mouth is, do something about it.
Sarah.
I'll help us.
So, I went to the then harbour master for the non-tidal Thames. I said, I've got an idea. I'll set up a business to manage your moorings for you. And I sort of thought they'd say Foxtrot Oscar, and they said, oh, okay. Yeah, but do us a favour, don't tell anyone you're doing it until we're ready to go. Okay. So we did the plans and developed the website and all of that, and then...
Can you just tell me how it functions, how it works? That would be interesting to know.
Basically, we've got a website, and all of the moorings that are part of the scheme have a sign and the TVM logo, and people are asked to register their arrival.
So this is on the scheme?
This one isn't, actually, because this is Spelthorne Council.
So where is it, just to knowledge?
I can
look on your website.
The most upstream is Lechlade, the furthest downstream is Stevens 8, and it's the Environment Agency's 72-hour moorings. Basically, the Environment Agency started a civil enforcement scheme, and which is of questionable efficacy. All of the moorings which were in their civil enforcement scheme we now manage, and the theory is that we manage them and get compliance. If people want to pay silly buggers, then we say to the EA, can't do any more with these people because we don't enforce, all we do is manage. We can't do anything with it, over to you. The theory is they tell their enforcement provider, who then deals with it. The only small problem with that is the contract with the enforcement provider ran out 2 years ago, and they've not renewed it. So the EA are doing it themselves, which means they're not doing it very effectively because they just don't have the resources.
And what was happening before that? I mean,
people just overstaying.
So people just overstay. Did other people get jealous and go, I've been wanting to move into this place. I've noticed 4 boats have been there for 6 months, and why can't I stay? And who would be rung up?
There's 2 things. There's some of that.
Yeah.
The other way is, and increasingly is the problem, it's riparian people moaning